In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. I wanted to record a quick lecture on how there is a significance to novelty, and that sometimes to take things literally there's a hidden advantage to that. I thought of just taking some time and pointing out that in this life so far, what has come to something I've noticed is how new things happen when they do, and it tends to have a contextual shifting value. When something true changes, the true changes within the being occur. At some point, we have to ask ourselves, what sort of game are we playing? And what are clues we find in this game? What is the point of the echoes of knowledge? What is echoed from long ago and hence far away? And really, most people, I feel they're looking at, like recently, this is what I've realized, they're looking at it all wrong. They're like, yo, is there God or is there not? Is there nothing? Most people to see it like that. Is there something ultimate meaning to it, or does it not have ultimate meaning? But that's not the only way you can look at it. It's more, I think what's fascinating is that this has always been one of those kind of therapeutic questions for me personally. When I get too bored or something, in some state of mind, I ask myself, like, what am I doing here? This question has been like a source of grounding for me. You know, moments I can't confront, I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Why am I in an inefficient moment? Or why am I in an efficient moment? And what if you really classify like a person's day-to-day life as efficient moments and inefficient, then the question comes, what would the most efficient moments be? Inefficient moment could be a moment where the value of the whole moment reduced. You know, efficiency could be the value increased, but how? And so it's the question of wondering about the true value to reality. Someone's like, yo, is it madness that simulated beings are looking for truth? And what value can truth have for a simulated being? You see, this is where you can kind of tell like where human beings are on Earth based on what they believe. And what does that mean? That means what geometry have they accepted as the face of their world? Really what it is more than there's like archives of knowledge, I guess, from some unknown sense. We are positioned as a viewer and a moment traveler. When I was younger, I used the term tunneling. We're tunneling through various moments, but what are these moments? And it seems to be that the moments that the human being accesses it is of being. That means I think there is no other species, like when you look at a lion, a bird or something, they're just existing in their environment. Out of all the creatures on Earth, the complexity, the ability for even the display of the complexities of human nature. You see, sometimes it's more like, rather than you're knowing something, you're like the wind that passes through the branches of various moments. You know, I when I look at my life, if you ask me, hey, have you had like only first person view of yourself from the beginning of your life till now? And I'll be like, no. There's various ways the mind, I feel it to be like in the ambience of the instantaneous capabilities of the mind. So rather than it's about, is there God or there isn't, it's more like, okay, what sort of display of intelligence as a system, in what sort of system. The question is not in what world was I born in, it's like more like in what moment has awakened to itself. In what moment did a created entity notice that which is beyond creation, that which is the original power of reality? It is alive in ways that we cannot fathom, and it is present in a way where the manifestation knows. It's like, imagine you built a universe, and the universe had it knew what created it. You see, it's not a relationship of some abstract idea with an individuated physical human entity. It's more about, what is this show? What is this moment? How has my awareness found itself as a function in the realm? And how deep does this go? And I will tell you, anybody who, I don't care what age you are, for the roars of the soul are beyond time. What that means is, it's more like, yo man, is about Earth going on Earth and, doing something, doing whatever you want, and then it finishes. It's like, hold on. That seems to be more of a reactive response. What if we looked at this world and we're like, we do, what do I say? This is kind of like, what am I looking at moment with yourself? Okay, and when you wonder about what you're looking at a framework on reality. There is a frame, there is a subconscious geometry to every conscious idea you have held as a banner of yourself. So it's more like starting off as an object-based truth. Really, truth is more objective, and then you wonder, okay, how can truth be subjective? And then you begin to see there is no such thing as philosophers. There's just those beings that, by the grace of the system admin, had been allowed into different halls behind their eyes. What that means is, it's a different sort of wealth. There is a physical wealth, and then there's the wealth of what you're accessing as an intelligence in the moment. And what's very fascinating about this system is that it just requires one conscious moment where you're like, okay, let me double check. Let me just double check if this realm has a transcendental agency or not. Let me just double check. Okay? And then the question kind of moves in such a fascinating way, because you start off from this question, where am I? But then it's kind of like, what is it all? What is here? Right? And so the question goes from, what is the correct location? What is the correct thing to have? It shifts to, what is the correct way to be? So you can kind of see the different levels to this, like, massive simulated video game we're all in. Okay, instead of pixels, it's the periodic table. It is manifestation and humanized geometry. We pretty much took a bunch of shapes and made a previous set of shapes mean something else simultaneously. All of reality is the all of knowledge is realizing that all knowledge is within a massive contextual reality called the unknown. And every person on this planet, or every teacher in a professor or something, anybody who is, you see, the way this world is designed is that in man's mind there is kings and queens. In man's mind there is ultimate access to the best kind of physical worldly life. But when you ask yourself, what is the world and how strange is it that every person on this planet has a view on this world? And what does that mean? Are we all trapped in self-simulations unseen? And it's as if everybody was trapped in their own world. What would it take to, in some sense, see beyond the limits of one's perception? And this is where you suddenly see why I'm saying novelty is a clue. Because some part of the human being wants life to be a safe photograph, but it is a wild film. And it's all about how much awareness feels comfortable to be what it is already. It is it's a discovery of first the self, then the self of selves, then the self beyond all selves. It is the realization you're in a world with a system admin. Do you know what that means? It means the knowledge of the system surpasses visualization technology. It means this world, because it is in the presence of the most advanced, the most advanced is possible. We are pretty much in the reality of an unfathomable being that it is by the will of that which has brought us here. It's pretty much like, what do you do when your consciousness wakes up in a world room? You ask, what has brought me here? You wonder, why is here? Why is it all here? Why is there this exact geometry, shape, form? Why is our minds like hidden subdimensions to our being where reality moves in different ways? Why does the human being have an ability to love? Why does it have an ability to hate? Why does it have an ability to be selfish and to just take? And why does it have an ability to be like, I give, because what is beyond? It's as if you're not, you see, there is worldly abundance. And if you ask, what is a greater abundance? What is the greatest reward than the best life? It is to be in the presence of the original moment of being. That means religion takes a completely different view when it's about simulated beings connecting to the system admin. But the cost of that connection is the cost of the path. In some sense, what reality seems to be is human beings are playing with future possibilities all the time. Their emotions are based on an ability to view more than one timeline. So if you see one thing that's happening in a certain way, and then you imagine a different variation, pretty much after like a couple of variations, you're going to suddenly see emotions occur. Because it is the contrast of First, do you know what is actually here? Two, is what is here beyond us? And these are very important, because seldom did they say what theology, philosophy, all these divisions, what these are, is to be like, yo, human species, you are not alone in the cosmos. The author of this novel that of manifestation we're all in, it has an author. And how you connect it, it's as if in the presence of the ultimate archetype. Do you know what that means? That means the greatest view is an unimaginable view. The greatest value, the greatest power, it is unfathomable, unmanifest. God is not bound by the forms of his creation. It is beyond the limits of its creation. In other words, we're present in a place where where the original power, the causal point, can contact the effect. It's like you create something, and because you created it separate to you, its only purpose becomes you. You see, it's a much deeper game than the human form. It's the recognition that reality is dynamic, that reality at the same time has a sort of divine management behind the scenes. There is an administrative force. It's like it's not just the invisible hand of the economy. It is how everything is sequenced in every moment, as if the moment has a code to fulfill. This reality, I'm telling you, more than a code to be filled, to me, we are within a commanded reality. God's creation was instantaneous and by a mere command. And to me, I'm like, yo, man, what does that mean? There's a system admin that has commanded the whole system into being, and then there's people here in this system being like, yo, man, what is my soul? What is spirituality? What is this? Not realizing it on some level, you are present in a very important moment, because the most important moment is present in that moment. It is the advancement of mankind kindly towards the realization that he has not been alone, that there is a truth that surpasses every container. If you ask what ideological system in some sense denies the system it's in, it doesn't make truth equal to anything in the system. That means if somebody, spoke to you in one moment, it doesn't mean you're just what they saw in that moment. Reality is a massive event. Sometimes I feel like there's giants running above me, and it's like we don't see them. The species doesn't realize the colossal movements. And in some sense, it was never a game of individual psychology. The destiny of the planet is based on mass psychology. And mass psychology it just has, in some sense, like a gas pedal, and it has a brake pedal. And to be honest, the future of humanity is based on, it's hilarious, but the destiny of our species will inevitably come down to what we felt like. Like, sometimes I wonder, in the future generations, do you think they're gonna forget how to count? Like, that would be scary. That would be psychological, like, horror. What we really need is to answer the question. We have been given an opportunity to be a human being on this place, in this world. You have been given access to a world. Now, if you go look at, like, I think patterns in wisdom, like, just what ancient people were trying to say. To me, it all came down to, like, yo guys, don't forget truth was here. All of knowledge is like, how do these images lead to this finality of a moment of being? How does your attention move? How has it moved? And when you look at this simulation, when you look at this place called world, when you really deeply look at it, are you sure it's the world? Do you know what that means? That means, are you acknowledging life more as a live process, a living process, rather than a static noun or snapshot? It's like, yo, what didn't they tell you when you were young? Oh yeah, they forgot to tell me about everything. And all the unknown that comes through, and how human beings, out of fear, when I see somebody around me where they have, like, certainty, it's either like they have incredible fear, sometimes a reaction to fear. For me, it's very strange. My day-to-day life has become like an interaction with a living moment. What that means is, the consciousness that is holding the system is conscious that I am consciously noticing it. And when that happens, the vibe is different. You're not in the presence of yourself alone. You're in the presence of that which is so mighty that no words, in some sense, it is the supremacy of intelligence. That access to it has been given. There's something so strange. They're like, yo man, was 2025, what kind of wreckage were you living in? Like, wreckage of historic culture were you living in? And I'd be like, yo man, the natural good old days were in some sense being destroyed by, machine-like behavior of the future generations. It's like, yo man, how do we get everybody's descendants to be cyborgs in the future? Well, they need to get hooked on technology. And it's not that it's wrong, it's unavoidable. But on some level, it's as if, like, you pilot an airplane and then you step out of it. To me, the mystery of reality changed. It's not per se the questions have changed. It's not like I have like a different way to see things. It has come down to, what am I in the presence of? And I am in the presence of the original. We all are in the presence of the original creator, or the original commander of reality. What God is like, it's commanding. It's a command. All prophets were commanded. The more you see, it's our, maybe the modern culture has a different view on what command means. But when a command, how do I say it? It's like commands descend. And some commands force ascension. I don't know. You know, guys, honestly, novelty is a huge clue. How reality happens is a clue. How it's here. It's all pointing to being connected to some deeper server, you know. When something new happens, it's like the moment moves on its own. And you're left with this kind of depth of being like, okay, it's all about concentration, being an ability to zoom in and out of reality. And how many things can be seen from how many different views. It's infinite. Legit, there's infinite ways to view reality. But the question is, what is the most advanced movement? The most advanced movement has to come from noticing the most advanced. And humanity has reached the point where it's noticed that the most advanced is not conceptual. It cannot be limited to a concept. It cannot be limited to a form. It is beyond the forms that we consider. What that means is a person can explore the whole world, and yet it is beyond this room. Yeah. Getting to having a relationship with the system admin, I think, is key, is the main key to the door of the simulated realm. I've come to realize it is not a calculation. It's like you're not based on a specific calculation, you know, let's say being positioned. It's more like how you were conscious. See, what you notice, what's in your awareness changes your behavior. Just like when somebody's like given a talk alone and then somebody else comes, it's like it changes, like, you know, the awareness of the individual. So based on the things that change or new things that come into your environment, the awareness changes. So you might be like, you might look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, it's still me. But the awareness to me is a state that's held in a certain way. And as your energy levels change, your states change. When something new happens, it means that the reality has expanded. We're all explorers at heart. Like that's our species. We're an exploring species. Doesn't mean we're wise, but we explore. We see what's behind the doors, you know, we wonder about the edges of our consciousness. And so, how does the soul of the moment move? And at what point is reality a relationship that surpasses ideological, conceptual, explainable? One thing we all have to understand is that we're standing in a unique position. I don't know who you are and I don't know your future. Only the system admin beyond the system knows. Okay? And it's written also, it's programmed in what's going to happen here. So technically, if there is fear, it is programmed from before. If there's joy, it's programmed. So it's kind of like being like, okay, you're telling me I've opened my eyes in a world that everything has been set up, pre-built, and it's just like, you know, a sort of lifestyle game where I'm a living being moving with style. Like, to me, I'm like, okay, like, sure, I could completely forget the massive unknown and just, you know, tunnel into some corner of, you know, what normality is, which is the consensus reality. Do you know what it is? We're reaching that point in human history where people are all standing up one by one, but they're just like how, like, the ape, let's say the creature was moving on 4 limbs and then it stood on 2, just like with that fascination and more. I want you to imagine there will come a moment where everybody stands up from themselves. For a moment, they're like, okay, if I wasn't all the stories I'm looping for myself, who would I be? And you will notice there is no answer to who you are. Who you are is pretty much how there's even a possibility of being in the presence of. I don't know how to say it, but it's like, you know, all those people were like, yo, man, I met my soul. Do you know what I mean? I talk to my soul. These spirits and souls are guiding me, and it's like, yo, man. It's like, yo, the simulation's got him. Oh my God. It's like, what's the biggest sign that you're trapped in the simulation? You feel powerful here. It's like one who feels bright in a dark room does not know, like, true brightness. There are no shadows. Right now we're in a dualistic simulated reality. We have individualized, there's massive decision making. It's all about information compartmentalization and assimilating and expanding the edges of the context of meaning, pretty much just like how people did training every day. You wake up every day being like, okay, what sort of world am I in now? Do you know? And the question comes, okay, what is noticed before, what hasn't been noticed, and at what point does the individual human game get tiring and the soul realize that there are greater rhythms at work? There's streams of divine intelligence, more in the sense of, once you trust the system admin, the full capabilities of the system are accessible. It's like if reality was a giant robot, like one of those, you know, Evangelion giant robots, it's like, how are you sitting in it? You know, being alive is like, how are you seated in this massive system? I'm pretty much saying I'm realizing the self is not an object. It is not a subject. Believe it or not, it's not even the name. What the self is the ability of the simulated to be in the presence of the original, and being so blessed out of all creation to have system admin privileges, which is to notice the system admin. That means in a sort of lifeless world, life has arose to wonder about what pulled it out of the darkness of its existence. in what pulled it out of the darkness of non-existence into existence. What has brought you here? What are you? Is the value to you limited to what you perceive about yourself, what others perceive, or is there a greater mystery that behind all the screens projected in front of our eyes there is the depth and the roar of the observer? You are witnessing your life. You're witnessing what is happening. You look at reality and you wonder not just about, again, its boundaries, you wonder about its might. It's like, okay, let's say I'm convinced there's existence here, but the next thing is, what is existence doing here? And the answer seems to be in how existence is being, and the way it's being is beyond the human format. So man is in obvious contact with the possibilities of higher intelligence in this realm. It's like it's alive, but it's not alive in the way that our minds can only forge. It is alive in how everything happens. This might sound strange, but again, the metaphor of, let's say, a giant, imagine being on the shoulder of the giant. You could run on this shoulder of the giant, but trust me, where the whole moment's headed is based on a different mind. That means, what is the value of my own truths? What is the value of all the narratives I have entertained so far? What is the value of being a being at all? And it is the opportunity to meet the original. They're like, what's cool about being simulated? You can see beyond. That's the point. To notice in the middle of our life story and theatrics and main character moments, it's like, wait a minute. Why do I feel there's an audience that of my moment beyond me? Why do I feel I am not just present in the realm of manifestation, in the realm of man? Why do I get the feeling that the whole world can see if the system admin wills? Do you understand what it's like being born on Earth? You're being told that there's something you gotta know. God is like a hidden door in a world, where, how do I say it? It's like the whole point of it is to be like, okay, I've seen this, what else? And realizing it surpasses the boundaries of sight. And how far does it already go? Novelty is a clue, there's always more to the world. You find yourself entering a world where it's a meeting it's like meeting the source of power, all types of power. It is realizing the limits of yourself and like a sort of hidden surrender to the truth that is beyond concept. It's like when you fly beyond the atmosphere and you're hovering in outer space, that's not flying anymore, it's floating. I think noticing the system admin and the divine agency of this reality to be very key. I think there is a reason that what religions are how great humans in the past pointed to that, which was the source of it all. That's all that everybody's been pointing to. Reality is programmed to return to its original moment. For there is nothing greater than the original. Because anything created contrasts with the original. It's like, does the world exist, or was it created by the creator for the creator? The new is a clue to truth. What do you do with the awe and the fascination for the infinite ways that value can be contained in form? Is mastery the realization of the edge, the limits? There will come a moment where we will all leave this world, but every moment that has changed has been the entrance of novelty, the entrance of new design. And where shall it all go? Born in ignorance, to search for truth. A species going through the transformation of a gradual realization of how everything is commanded already. It's commanded. What destiny means is that the future has been designed already. And we are just viewers. We're just viewing our lives as conceptual meaning. It's like we now notice more than that. How do you feel in the presence of all of it, all reality? The moment is like the presence of everything at once is like it's so vague when it comes to what human beings should do, and I think it's intentional because it requires like the participation of the whole moment. It's kind of like how a tree grows and gives fruits, or it blossoms or something. So similarly, it's like it reaches a certain time where reality grows, where reality changes. Like right now, we could be having senses of humor in 2025 that people maybe in 1025 had, or maybe in 3025 they will have. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like wondering how much of it is just the animation within like a fixed set. It's like a divine fixed set. It's like trying to get to know the intelligence of your world. Get to know what it was. And after some point, life becomes too boring not to be honest and see what the honest value is. What the true value of what you are is. What can or can't happen. For me personally, when I wonder about like the limits of my consciousness, just like somebody wondering about the limits of like their strength or something, it's like you're trying to wonder about the limits of your consciousness. And it's like realizing that this sense of self that owns like your name and your personality and your backstory and whoever you are, it's something that's like this, it's held at a certain state. So there are obviously states where consciousness reduces realities, reduces the number of shapes. When we open our eyes, that's what we see. We're seeing shapes and we're seeing the distance and spacing between these shapes. We're seeing form and substance. We're seeing existence existing. And I think at some point you just tap into this context of like, seriously, whose world am I in? I feel like that could become an incredible song in the future. Whose world am I in? Like one of those Frank Sinatra vibe. I've asked this question that what if every way that I've looked at this life, like what would I do if truth was not that? What if my, spear in the sky attempt at trying to somehow contain a truth for myself? What if it is so beyond the limits of what I can grasp now that the question may be forgotten? Do you know, sometimes I wonder, like, okay, what is the value of it all being here? And I'm not talking about just what I see now. I'm talking about the long, again, human odyssey journey of history so far. Like, why are we all existing in, like, a moment in the history of, like, humans? Why are we all suddenly, like, here participating in this? Okay. And why is it so self-contained? In other words, why is it that your meaning is your simulation upon reality? So how you value things, you're not just a value, you're the ability to value. And I don't know, it's just the point that novelty is a clue. Novelty is a huge clue. When new things happen, it's like you gotta get up the world, so the world is doing something. And there's also the like, after, let's say, 8 billion human beings being like, yo, this world is a deeper world than we thought. You know, okay, granted, what now? You see, I think the most important thing that human beings can do is separate the simulated from the non-simulated, and this is way harder than it sounds. It means separating meaning from form. And at some point, what happens to consciousness when it is not a thought form to itself? It feels different. It feels like you can be unknown without having to have had been that known way you were being. But it's all about, like, okay, what is the value here, right? What values are we seeking? I feel like we're seeking something that we all deep down nostalgically miss. It's like the mind could see what could have been, yet the body's in the room it is. Anyways, guys, you know, when something new happens, pay attention. I do believe there's a system admin here. The protocol would be to, like, come into a knowing of this yourself or somehow. I feel it's something that actually calls towards the person at some point. But first, you know that what's here, you know that the system admin is here. Then you start seeing the system admin. And after some point, there is no separation between will. Like that will, you know, your will, divine will. It's like after some point, you're being in the presence of the unmistakable. You're being in the presence of that which cannot make a mistake because it is original, if mistakes are, like, limited to simulated. Anyways, guys, I'm going to end the talk here. The new is a clue to truth, I guess. Take care. Have a good night. Thank you for listening, and in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Notice the system admin. I think this is important. Anyways, take care, guys.